Hi, thank you for watching our special edition. Today we have a guest, Mrs Makhathini. Mama, I want us to discuss about your role as a community developer. Will you please share briefly about your role as a community developer?
Thank you, Fundisi. That role of mine basically constitutes of me being the Rotary President of Boksburg. So Rotary is a humanitarian organization, an international humanitarian organization. And at our club, specifically in Boksburg, our priority areas are actually welfare of children and the elderly and the youth development.
Okay.
And in what we do, I joined Rotary, I think about 4 years back.
Okay. And
however, I knew about Rotary when I was still in high school.
Okay.
So it was just, you know, although I did a lot of community work in everywhere where I was, basically was in the church, in the schools, I would just go to schools and just ask them, what is it that you need? What is a service that maybe you need that any need assistance for you? And particularly one school that reached out to me and was Windmill Park High School. They needed volunteers that could come and motivate children or just counsel the children. And that's how I basically started getting involved in that school. And then from there, I was also a member of the Community Corrections Forum here of the Boksburg Correctional Center.
Okay.
And there, basically, I would organize teams of volunteers, be it youth, adults, groups of ladies or Abu Mama and Abu Baba, to go into prison to give support to the young inmates, especially those that come from out of the Egurleni and the Gauteng province. And there I also adopted one of the youngest inmates there. And it was very difficult. I actually thought when they asked me to adopt that young man, I was thinking, what is God getting me into now? So my life constitutes really was working with youth on a day-to-day basis. Actually, I say I live for the youth. I always love to put young people on my shoulders for the world to see them. And I wouldn't have become the person I am today. It was also because of youth that were my mentors in my time. If I can mention to you that one of the young people that I grew up with is David Tlale. And David Tlale was my desk mate. When we had school plays. I remember at Ditomo Primary School, the principal there was Mrs Makhathini, and we did the Cinderella play, and I was the Cinderella and David Tlale was the Prince Charming. And it was such a wonderful experience, that I got. And these are experiences that I'm now reliving. So when I meet small children, primary school or high school, I replay those roles of reading the Miss Cinderella. When I, was the Cinderella story, when I go to creches, I sit down with the children, I teach them songs that, of workshops that has to do with children. So that is my role basically. And I can say I started being a community volunteer at a very young age, from about 9. And we used to belong to a group called Phosphorus After School Care Center. I think it was one of the most oldest after school care centers that still exist till this day, although structures are a bit different now. But with the aftercare center, we used to be taken for trips. We used to be taken for Christmas parties. There's one Christmas party I remember where Pick n Pay had a Christmas party for us, and we could pick any gift in the room, and if you picked 4 whatever. And those are experiences I relive for young children. In December, I had Christmas party planned. Christmas party planned for children at the Owartambo Memorial Hospital, which used to be called BBH. So I took Ward 11 and Ward 12, and I bought them simple things, simple toys like balls, skipping ropes, and puzzles Because when children go there, I found out that when children go there, most of the time they just sit on the bed. You know, there's no ball to bounce. There's basically nothing. So in December, that was my assignment that I did. So I'm always really finding, so that I don't also get bored. I'm always trying to find different activities that I can do. Sometimes I'm with young people that, for example, are in the media industry. They are artists. They are, what do they call it? I'm a creatives.
Creatives, yes, yes.
Sometimes I spend time with those young people. I'm a creatives, and sometimes they're needing maybe resources more than money. So I will link them with resources that basically to help enhance the work that they're doing. So that's, and with Rotary International, the amazing thing is if young people could get involved. Rotary has a place where we call it the Humanitarian Center.
Okay.
And the Humanitarian Center is a center where you can, if you are linked with a local club of Rotary, you can go, they give you a letter to go get donations. Maybe say you want to start a library.
Okay.
There's a mini library for your street or a mini library for your community. You can actually get books sponsored. And it just depends what you need. And sometimes the club will even go to an extra extent of getting you the structure sponsored, just a temporary structure sponsored. And I'm not talking about Ugudba building Kuku. I'm talking about they will probably supply a container and modify it beautifully, beautify it, and then so that it can be an inviting space for children. And they do other aspects, and you can, if they find you being a community, somebody who's working in the community, they can actually take you in and help develop a plan for you that can be sent to our global fund, where you can get funding globally. There you can get, and they bring in also experts to come and assist you to plan, to see. They can bring, they've got architects. So all this, the whole Rotary has about 1.5 million professional people who are humanitarians. They would, on a monthly basis, they donate money into Rotary to help the community at large. So that's how we work, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Many people are concerned about making money. It's very rare that you can find, especially young people saying, I want to volunteer, I want just to give my time to go to an old age home or a hospice. How important it's working with the community? How important it's you empowering people who are not going to give you something in return?
There is a proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child, and I think if we can always have that mindset, that how can I make a difference in the community? One of my inspirations, or I don't know how to call it, but I'm an atmosphere changer. So I don't like to come into a place and leave it the way I found it, because I'm always making sure that if I find a child who's in need of whatever, I'll go, if it's within my resources, I'll go and make sure that I find, I help. So I go to places where maybe, for example, there's young people who are looking after an elderly person, and maybe they need a wheelchair, and they say, but it's better wheelchair. So I always say to them, don't worry, I'll organize a wheelchair for you. And that wheelchair is not that I'm going to buy it, it's because of networking with organizations such as Rotary. There's many NGOs out there who are doing a lot of lovely work. It's just for you to find an organization that to volunteer to, and that must be an organization that it connects with your passion. So I wouldn't really do well in having to care for patients, because I'm not a person who likes to look at blood or deal with blood. But I look at spaces where I'm comfortable and spaces where I look forward to going. So the elderly people, if I help with the elderly people, last week, just last week, I just volunteered. I had some time on my hands, and I had been to meetings, and when I came back it was about 3 o'clock, and I just said, I went to visit an elderly lady, and she wasn't home, but she had left the key for me. She knew I was coming. And I just got there and I cleaned the windows for her. So those are such little things, so small ways we can, when you are volunteering for an organization, the most important thing about it is to be smart. So what do I mean about being smart? If you are going to volunteer for an organization and go Monday to Sunday without a break, and those hours are going to stress you. So you've got to work, within your scope. Say, okay, I'm only going to volunteer for this organization for 1 hour. Even if it's just 1 hour a week, time, that value of time, actually, when other people look at it, it, amounts to money. So you don't always have to think to yourself, hey, I don't have money to go give. That resource of your time. We spoke about love languages, in your other interview, and those love languages are basically time, acts of service. So just washing izitsha, washing dishes for somebody, that can make a day, because when a person thinks you are always washing dishes the whole day, these kids, but when you just walk in and see dishes, and the kids have just come out of school, and the first thing you see is just the dishes, and this is a lady who's always at home, but when children arrive, she starts getting this. Just offer. And sometimes you don't even have to say, I'm washing dishes, or can I offer? Just stand there, wash dishes. That is an act of love. And to that person, maybe, it would have taken them 2 hours to do it or whatever, because then she starts bringing her down the pot and all. But with you being there, having, it will just give that person that time to rest. So it's very important, to always find a small ways which we can really change people's lives. We don't always.
The purpose of this show, this edition, is to encourage you to make a difference in your community. It doesn't take a millionaire to make a difference. Right where you are, there are people who are saying, "Man, I'm waiting for millions for me to change the lives of my neighbors." You have something. There are people who does not need your money, who need your love, and your love can change them. So make a difference. And there's a principle that I have learned as an individual, that in life, friends raising, it is better than fundraising. Many people in life, they are after funds, but not raising friends. What is important about raising friends, it is that some people, when you look at them today, you will say, but he or she does not have resources. Why should I build a relationship or a friendship with him or her? The thing is, in life you must learn that never say never. We all live our lives by faith. We don't know what tomorrow holds for us. But if you can learn to build relationships with people who have nothing, the secret is that they are not going to be where they are today. Some of these people, after a year or two from now, you find them having everything that you want as an individual. So make sure that you make a difference wherever you are. Just Mama, to add on what I'm saying, you have done a lot for communities. What is it that makes you to sleep peacefully after you have helped people wherever where you are helping?
What makes me sleep peacefully is knowing that I've given my best, and I have not been greedy in any way, but I've walked the way with a person, and until they accomplish what they asked me to help them with. Everything, every step we take, everything we do, though on face value, it can just look as if like just time. But relationships, the time I'm spending with you, actually, in terms of your, your business plan as DaveytonTV, for example, is when you look at it, it's money. You interpret it in money, because when you're looking for more sponsors, you actually quantify to them how much each show that you record with with your guests costs you. Because you calculating that. So relationships, just calling a person takes airtime, takes that person's time. They must respond to you. That value in we need to start looking at each aspect of everything that we do with the aspect of what is the monetary value that it adds up to. And I've spoken to a lot of young people where they say, for example, we've been submitting our proposal to request for funding for 2 years, for 3 years, we're tired. I just want to stress more. The moment you start removing your focus on what you want to achieve and start to place it, indirectly placing your responsibility. No, I'm knowing Pastor Mabote, he must give me, he knows, he must give me 5,000. Pastor Mabote might not be, at the opportune spot at the time to give you 5,000. Yeah. But he might know somebody who might even give you that resource that costs 5,000. Let's say we're looking for gold mics, for example. Yeah. Golden mic, we say it costs 5,000. Yeah. You might know some another entity who are upgrading their equipment, without necessarily having to buy that one having to buy a mic. You're connecting that person with the people who are upgrading, and that person's need for 5,000 rand can be met by them getting what? The resource they were looking for. So our idea must not always be on money, because we definitely will get disappointed. Yeah. So that's my what I've learned to appreciate. I appreciate people, and people always give you referrals. Referrals, make sure that you do make contact with the people you are being referred to for them to be able to offer help. And some of them will give you money when they see. The most important thing, and another thing is, you see, when God gives you a vision, it's because He has already released the provision for the vision. Yeah. But for you must walk in the path that you are supposed to walk in. So you can't go drive another street when you are actually supposed to be going to a certain street. So you need to be walking in line to be able to get that money. But if you are going to start engaging and being in other spheres or being in a wrong place, those resources you're not going to get. And that's what causes the frustration, I think. Because we're always looking for what we are looking for, where we want to look for it, and not according to the path where those resources are laid. Yeah. So I think that's what causes frustration. Yeah. But for me, it's don't be greedy at all. If you come across a project, help the people accomplish their mission for the project. Yeah. Don't want to divert it and make it your vision. It's not your vision. Yeah. You are there to help them to achieve their vision. Yeah. So that's for me basically. This is what somehow I can sum it up. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. It was an empowerment edition show. We were just saying to you out there, don't give up in life. Because as long as you are alive, there's still a hope for you. So if you identify a gap somewhere, go and fill the gap. You don't have to be great for you to start, but you have to start for you to be great. So whatever that you are praying about, whatever that you are praying for, just be positive and make sure that you don't underestimate small beginnings. Because God has much in store for all of us. He has much in store. Just be positive and always hope for the best. Thank you so much. We love you. May God bless you.